Hey Internet, it's us. So tonight we watched Nightmare on Elm Street. Now you'd never seen this before. You've seen like references to Freddy and stuff, like Scary Terry and all that crap.
Yep.
So what'd you think?
Oh boy! Oh, was it beautiful to look at? Gosh, I need like a half an hour to digest this because this is pretty out there. It's like I've seen it all before, but not this way.
You have to remember this did a lot of it first.
This was the original.
Like, okay, what scenes visually stand out to you the most? Because there's one that's super iconic that like
there's
everyone knows.
Everybody's seen the bathtub scene.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
No?
No, the scene that most people know this movie for. I'm just curious if it's one of the ones that really stood out to you.
So I like the first kill, him stretching his arms out,
Mm-hmm.
and then her getting thrown around like a rag doll, like in midair and up on the ceiling. That was all cool. That was really badass.
Yeah.
Then the bathtub scene was cool. Am I missing something in between them and the last one?
The biggest scene, it's not necessarily a kill, but there's one special effect, like you see referenced a lot.
Oh, the blood that goes up from the...
No, but that's really cool too, and that's just a rotating room. But the ceiling, where he's stretching down through the ceiling, like coming out.
Oh, yeah. You know,
that is a major thing.
I've seen that a bunch, but the way they did it here made it look different and cooler, because it was like an angled wall over her instead of just like normal wall pushing out.
Yep.
It had that, and it was like all three at once, and the way the lighting was angled, and the crucifix going down. That was a cool part.
Yeah.
The whole movie, the effects were top notch.
There's a lot of really cool things they did in this movie. Like even just at the end there with the mom getting sucked into the bed and the bed just vanishing to the sheets.
Yeah, that was great.
And what a clear transition.
Yes.
That is so clean.
Yes.
Because I mean, like, they just did a transition. Like, there's a prop bed with no middle, and
but
then
it was
there's
just
clean
looked
sheet.
so good.
But between the fog and then transitioning to the sheet, like, it was just perfectly done.
Yeah, there's so many good effects in this movie. It was such
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to watch. But then the end happened.
Yeah.
I was fine with it
I
until...
knew to expect it. I knew it was coming. And
I
it's
was
still
fine
not my
with it. I
favorite.
was fine with it until she's like, I take away all the energy that I've given you, Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with it up until then. And
It
then
felt like the same cop-out we got in It.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, oh, you're not scary, and then he just stopped being scary. Like,
Right.
It felt like a cop-out then, it feels like a cop-out here.
Yes.
I still enjoy the movie. I just...
Yeah. Up
could
until
do without that. If they could just find a way for her to just either defeat him or just die. Like, either
Right.
way, like, something should happen.
Right.
That feels like a big old nothing.
Right.
Plus, Freddy in car form just carts them away. You don't see what happens. So, are all four kids dead? Are they alive? Are we in a dream again? Who really knows? Like, it's super ambiguous. Also, fun story. In college, someone I knew dressed like Freddy Krueger all the time and had no idea they were doing it. They wore the green denim pants, the striped sweater in the same color, and even a fedora. Not ironically, they were not aware of the movie. They had no clue what they were doing. That was just the style of clothes that they wore. It was amazing every time I saw it because they genuinely had no idea.
All that's fine, but my biggest problem with the movie is called A Nightmare on Elm Street, but not once did they ever show us a road sign that said this is on Elm Street. So we just have to take their word for it, and that's bullshit.
So what's your overall thoughts?
First I want to say...
Oh, okay. Please dive in.
Johnny Depp is in this. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was, like, my least favorite actor.
Glenn, the boyfriend?
Glenn, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Nancy, she was a hell of an actor. She carried the whole movie, and I was fine watching her the whole time.
She really...
I think she was better than Robert Englund as Freddy. I think Freddy had this weird...
he gets more screen time as it goes on. You don't see him a lot, and when you do, it's usually just like a word or two.
No, it was weird because, like, when we first saw Freddy and he was doing that chasing, like, he stretched out his arms, and then he chases Laurie, or what's her name, through the alley, but he runs really weird.
Yeah.
And that kind of kills it for me, looking at him, because he runs so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I get that was more of a taunt, though. Like everything he does, he's always like when they were in the foundry there, and like Tina, she's at the dead end, and he comes around, and at first he's backward, and then he slowly spins around, and then he just like swipes his claws on the railing, like he's just toying with them. He's
I get it.
purposefully doing that.
I get that, but there were some times when it went a little too clownish for me. Not often, but like maybe once or twice, and that kind of took me out of it a little bit. It was just like weird. But I like that. I mean, the fact that he ran up behind her and in one shot they show her, and then he's in front of her. I know it's a double, but
yeah,
but it's still effective. But it's
They
just, it's just the way he ran. It took me out of it for a second.
that is like really the emphasis of this movie is the effects and the different just on-screen things that they did, and just the incredible shots they were able to get.
Freddy on fire, and he runs up the stairs. He's kicked back down the stairs, and the whole living room's on fire. And there's a fire tornado, and then he's on top of the mom, and he's still on fire. Like that's a lot of practical effects, and it was all badass to look at.
The quicksand stairs, and she's like sinking through them as she's walking up.
Yeah, although you could see those beforehand.
Yeah, but it still looked really cool.
It still was cool.
Even him just breaking through the mirror. Like, you could see the black cloth behind it to make it look like a void, but it still just looked really cool.
Yeah, no, I have no
there
problem
were so many things
I have no problem with the
I
effects
just
at all.
really liked visually in this movie.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, Robert Englund was different as Freddy than I thought he would be. The story went a little bit different than I thought it would. The ending was... But other than that, I really liked it. I would still give it an 8.
I was going to say 7... Like, I love the effects. You know I love practical effects. Like, that's still... It's always going to be a great thing for me. But, I don't know, the ending is not my favorite either. And there are a couple parts where the pacing's just a little slow. Like, overall, I like the story, but... I don't know, I feel like they could have paced it just a little different so that they get to the action faster, or that it happens longer, because there's a lot of time where it's just, you know... Nancy yelling at Glenn to stay awake, or like just various little things. I'm like,
yeah, I get that.
I don't care about any of this.
I get that. But when it's good, it's really good.
Yes.
And which is funny because last year I watched Halloween for the first time, not with us with the marathon, but just by my own. And that movie I didn't like. Because I was thinking, oh, it's going to be the OG killer with a knife, machete. Didn't care for it. Wasn't scary. No, so I was worried about this one being old, that it wouldn't hold up. And that I would have seen it all before, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Yes,
and it made
that is one thing this definitely holds up.
Even though the end is a big bother to me,
the movie as a whole,
is still good.
See, now that you've seen both of the originals, at some point you'll have to watch Freddy vs. Jason.
Do I?
No, it's actually terrible. But yeah, so there you go. It's an old movie that absolutely holds up. It's very good. Just for the effects alone, honestly, I would say this is worth watching, because for any just aspiring filmmaker or amateur filmmaker, or even just someone that enjoys seeing practical effects, like, this is a masterclass. There's so many good shots and so many good effects. Everyone should see this.
Laurie in the body bag when she was being in the school hallway, when her legs get picked up and she gets drunk. I was like, holy shit, that looked really good.
Yeah, there are so many shots here that it all works really well. So yeah, there you go. Good movie. Watch it. And come back tomorrow, because we're going to watch the second one.